The house sat at the end of Meridian Street, a decaying structure that locals avoided without admitting why. Its paint peeled in long strips, the windows sagged in their frames, and weeds choked the once proud front yard. Officially, it was just another abandoned property, one of many left behind as the old part of town collapsed into neglect. But anyone who had lived in that neighborhood long enough knew there was something wrong about that place. People who entered it didn't always come back. Jameson Price, a 37-year-old freelance journalist, had no patience for ghost stories. He had lived too much real life, seen too much raw violence on crime beats in bigger cities, to be frightened by whispers of haunted houses. When his friend Leah dared him to spend a night inside the house on Meridian Street, Jameson accepted without hesitation. Audio with him, 2 cameras, an audio recorder, a flask, and the confidence of a man who thought he had stared into darkness before. The first floor was as expected. Dust, rot, and silence. Graffiti covered the walls, bottles and wrappers littered the floor. But beneath the signs of trespass, there was a deeper stillness. Jameson noted how the air felt heavier than outside, how every creak of the boards seemed muffled, as if the house itself was swallowing sound. He set up his first camera in the living room, another upstairs, and clicked his recorder on. Hours passed without incident. He documented the peeling wallpaper, the collapsed staircase, the faint smell of mildew. He spoke into the recorder about the psychology of fear, about how urban legends grow from abandoned spaces like mold in the dark. His voice carried bravado, but his hands shook more than once, and he drank from the flask often. He told himself it was only nerves, nothing more. Around midnight, Jameson began hearing noises. At first, they were faint like footsteps in the room above, or a door hinge shifting. He told himself the old structure was settling, or rats were moving in the walls. But when he replayed the recorder, the sounds were clearer, deliberate. Footsteps, slow and steady, pacing in rhythm. He stopped the tape, heart racing, and went upstairs to prove himself wrong. The second floor was colder. His breath fogged as he moved room to room, flashlight beam cutting through dust. Nothing stirred. No rats, no squatters, no intruders. But when he returned downstairs, the camera he had placed in the living room had been turned, facing the wall. Jameson swore under his breath. He checked the footage. The recording showed the camera staying fixed for an hour, then abruptly shifting to the wall without a hand in sight. His rational mind fought with what he saw. Maybe the tripod slipped, maybe the floor shifted. He tried to laugh it off, but the sound of his own laughter felt wrong in the stale air. He decided to pack up, call it a night, but as he moved toward the front door, he froze. The door was gone. Where the door had stood was now a wall, seamless with cracked paint and old plaster. Jameson blinked hard, rubbed his eyes, stepped back, but the doorframe was gone. He tried another exit, the back door, only to find more wall. Windows that had been shattered were now intact, panes sealed into their frames. His breath came in ragged gasps as the realization set in he was trapped. Panic drove him to hammer at the walls, throw himself against the windows, scream until his throat was raw. Nothing broke, nothing gave. He collapsed in the living room, shaking, clutching his flask like a lifeline. The recorder picked up every ragged breath, every whispered curse. On playback, though, his voice wasn't alone. There was another, low and rasping, speaking words he could not understand. Jameson's notes grew erratic, He scribbled in his notebook about shadows moving in the corners, about figures reflected in the glass of his camera that weren't in the room. He wrote about time stretching, how he had lost sense of hours, how the clock on his phone flickered between dates that hadn't arrived yet. By the second day, if it was truly the second day, his handwriting devolved into frantic scrawls. He wrote that something was watching him, not from the house, but from inside his own reflection. Every time he saw himself in the lens of his camera, in the black surface of his phone, his reflection lingered a moment too long, smiling when he was not. Neighbors reported screams echoing from the house, but when police investigated, the place was empty. The cameras Jameson had set were still there, but their memory cards were blank. His flask lay on the floor, dented, but no trace of him remained. Weeks later, Leah received a package in the mail. No return address, just her name scrawled in Jameson's handwriting. Inside was his audio recorder. Shaking, she pressed play. Static filled the room. Then Jameson's voice hoarse panicked, unraveling. Don't let you leave. Don't look in the glass. Don't trust what smiles back. If you hear this, I'm still here. I never left. The tape ended in silence. The house on Meridian Street still stands, its windows empty, eyes watching the road. No one has claimed it. No one has demolished it. Children dare each other to touch its walls, and adults cross the street rather than walk past. Those who listen carefully swear they hear scratching from inside, as if someone is still trying to claw their way out. And some say, on nights when the moon is gone and the street is black, you can see a man's reflection in the glass, staring out, smiling.